As the boy sat in the rig of the truck driver's vehicle, Chance tapped Chase and gave him an uneasy look. There was a child's shoe with blood on the lace, but no child. As Chance looked through the cab's sleeping area, he saw evidence of both boys' and girls' clothing, but no other children were present. Neither boy recalled seeing a ring on the man's left hand, nor did they see family photos in the rig prominently displayed as their parents fondly hung of them in their house. The most disturbing thing they found was a child pornography magazine. Chance's heart started to beat like the time he raced his twin brother. At the end of the race, he breathed heavily and his heart thumped in his chest for some time, but gradually returned to normal, its normal rhythm. Except this time, fear caused the pounding and there was no place to run. The pounding was not only in his chest, but also in his head. What he had seen caused him great trepidation. Chance was just preparing to be seated from looking through the truck when the truck driver's side door opened. The truck driver reached inside and handed the boys the food. Chance nervously accepted. Chase, the yellow-eyed twin, was like a carefully placed tension piece of rebar encased in a concrete column. He was individually strong and unworried and highly unlikely to be moved. Once comfortably seated, the truck driver looked over at the boys. Mr. Burt spoke to them. "Ready to ride?" Chase responded on behalf of the both of them. Yes we are. Take us south." "I'm headed east and I'm looking forward to your company." "Drive south until I tell you otherwise." The truck pulled off and headed south on I-91. Chance breathed a sigh of relief and hungrily gobbled down the hot dog with just one hand. After several miles on county and state roads, the journey truly began as they headed south on the interstate. The twins were finally placing some much-needed distance between themselves and Emily. Never releasing his brother's hand, Chase and Chance finished their meal. "Thank you for the meal. Perhaps you could thank me later." Angrily, Chase responded, "Your sickness runs deep. I'll make sure you get the help you need." Unable to find the words to respond, Mr. Burt swallowed deeply as he tried to quench his suddenly parched mouth. He reached for the bottle of pop he previously had in the truck. As his hand searched, he struggled to produce enough spit to properly swallow. He found his bottle and took a gulp. Mr. Burt continued to drive onward while Chase continued to speak. "You're incapable of being a father. Whose shoe is this with the blood on it?" "Noah, I think. What did you do to him and where is he now?" Mr. Birch started to describe some very graphic things. Neither Chance nor Chase blinked as he described those horrible deeds. It was apparent to the boys that Mr. Birch derived pleasure sharing what he had done. Chance was most disturbed by the recounting of the events, but neither Chase nor Chance acted in fear or displayed visual disgust. His body is buried beneath a pile of stone in Baxter Wood near Bat Cove. How many more victims? 2 more boys and a girl. Listen to me. After we depart, you will not remember seeing either of us. You will go to the nearest authorities and let them know that you want to confess 4 more murders. You will wait until your rights are read to you and then you will waive your right to an attorney. Following that in clear detail, you will describe where you met these children, what you did to each of them, and where their bodies are located. You will submit DNA and consent to a vehicle search. When asked why you confess, just say, "My conscience told me to give their parents closure, and I feel that I deserve to be punished immediately. Otherwise, I won't stop." Mr. Burt shook his head. "Okay." Several states and many cities away, the twins needed a break from the road and could not stand to be in the presence of this depraved man any longer. They were dropped off at the edge of town in West Memphis, Tennessee, and walked a short distance to an ice cream parlor. Most of the patrons had on jackets. It was cold outside, but the creamy taste of ice cream brought the customers inside. It was a comfortable temperature, even warm inside the restaurant. The boys found the perfect booth that allowed them to people watch and also had an opportunity to hold their hands without many people looking. A young boy, 9 years old, walked in with his father. The boy looked lovingly into his father's eyes as they chose ice cream. A wave of emotions touched the boys. The twins wondered if Stanley was okay. Ice cream was their thing. Chance and Chase lovingly remembered looking up at and into Stanley's eyes in a similar way. They felt the genuine trust and love the young boy had toward his father and the unwavering love the father had toward him. The young boys saw the twins and felt a connection. It was a connection implanted in the boys' thoughts by Chase, but a connection that quickly grew into a genuine admiration based on mutual interest among kids of similar ages, similar activities, and similar lifestyles. The boy sat across from the twins and began to just talk and laugh. The three boys looked like brothers or schoolmates, except that Chase and Chance had amber hair and the boy had dark brown hair. The dad turned around to give his son the cone and saw the three boys. Chase glanced at him and then continued chatting away. The dad brought over the cone for Sam and placed the cup he had ordered for himself in front of the twins with 2 spoons. The table grew silent between licks, bites, and brain freezes. When the table was not silent, there was hearty laughter and chatting. At the end of the ice cream, the dad suggested that the boys come home with him and Sam. Both boys agreed. Once inside the single father's car, they all continued to talk. Chance tapped Chase and pointed at a Pokemon ball, a Lego action figure, and a glow-in-the-dark football. They mutually smiled at each other. The single father knew as much about Pokemon, cartoons, and action figures as his 9-year-old. The 4 of them thoroughly enjoyed the ride home. About midway in their drive, Louis, Sam's dad, looked into his rearview mirror and with genuine concern reflected in his eyes and his voice, he changed the subject and tone of the light-hearted conversation. "You boys are here alone? Aren't you afraid?" "We aren't afraid. I'm never afraid when I'm with Chase." Sam jumped into the conversation and further explained, "Oh, I love adventures. Chance and I need a place to rest and eat. We want it to feel like a loving home since we don't currently have one. I'd love to help you. Do you want to use my phone to call your parents and let them know where you are?" He paused for a response, but the boys only shook their head no. "I should call the authorities to ensure you both get home soon. While you are enjoying your adventure and seem to be fearless travelers, I'm sure your parents are worried sick. I know that I'd be a little mental right now if I didn't know where Sam was and know that he was protected and safe while away from home. Let's ease your parents' worry and get you in contact with someone who can properly see your safe return home, okay?" Chase breathed deeply. He sighed and then responded, "The protection we need, I'm the only one who can provide it. A witch is tracking us. There is no mortal man who can easily defeat her." There was an awkward silence, and then their previous conversation resumed. Soon they arrived at a beautiful 3-bedroom home. The 3rd bedroom was an office that doubled as a bedroom when guests stayed over. While the house seemed small in comparison to their expansive home, it felt loving. The boys got comfortable on the couch and Louis walked toward his bedroom. Once in his bedroom, he picked up the phone and began to dial. His bedroom door opened, but before he pressed the final button, the twins were holding hands in the doorway. Ice Cream Man put down the phone. Louis stopped his finger from pressing the final button, then lowered the phone back down onto the charger stand. "Chance and I only want to feel a loving home structure for the night, and then we'll leave. You have no need to worry or be concerned. Treat us like you would your son, Sam." The boys appreciated Louis's concern. This was exactly what Judge Marshall or their mother would have done. They knew, however, that it was imperative that they keep their movements under the radar to continue to prevent enemies protected from finding them. To do so, Chase influenced Louis's thoughts. "In that case, boys, get cleaned up, and I want you both to read one of the books on the shelf for an hour. I'll start on dinner. When your mom gets here to come get you, Sam, she'll ask if you've completed any reading." The 2 boys forced a smile. For as much as what Louis said was and felt perfect, he had no idea the boys had recently lost their mother. As the boys walked back down the hall, Chase gave Chance an embrace. Once in the family room, they gave Sam his dad's instructions. Sam acknowledged his father's instructions and then led the boys to his room, where he then shared his clothes with the boys. Hours later, it was dinner time. During dinner, Chase cried. Several tears rolled down the left side of his face onto his cheek. The tears formed a clear and shining puddle onto the corner of his dinner plate. Chance wiped Chase's eyes for him. "Chase, you miss Mom, the judge, and Dad, don't you?" "Yes, I want to see Stanley." In spite of the extremely powerful gift the boys had, they were still boys. Rushing to save their lives and protect themselves were taking its toll. This was a much needed moment of mourning. It allowed the two of them to refocus and ready themselves for the unknown things that laid ahead of them. The type of resiliency that they were exhibiting and learning could not be taught in the classroom. It had to be experienced. It was a hard-earned life lesson. The guest room was perfect for the boys. Lewis tucked them in and they slept peacefully throughout the night. Early the next morning, Chase woke Lewis. It's time to go further south. Sam's mom did not come the previous night as planned. Instead, she called and explained that she would pick him up before midnight the following day, today. So, shortly after the twins told Lewis it was time to leave, he decided that the four of them would drive several hours west, only making stops for fuel and food and the occasional sightseeing. With little notice, the twins decided that their journey together was done. Chase tapped Lewis on his shoulders from behind. Lewis looked into his rearview mirror at Chase and then pulled the vehicle off the highway and into the parking lot of a local grocery chain. What is it that you want to talk about, Chase? Are you hungry? You've driven far enough. You need to make it home in time to meet Mrs. Lewis. If you turn around now, you'll make it back with time to spare. The boys had made it to their final destination, Denton, Texas. Lewis, this is our new home. Chance and I thank you. Return home safely and never speak of us. Sam, thank you for sharing your dad with me and Chase. You are very young, but I think you understand. Your father really, really loves you. We felt his love toward us too. The boys exited the car at the local market and walked up to an elderly woman. Lewis and Sam drove away.